Hey, what's going on, guys? Pete here with MixBetterNow.com, coming to you with the brand new Mix Critique Monday. It is Monday, March 27th, 2017. As always, we got three very cool mixes on deck, ready to go. This week, we have mixes from my man Billy Deskin, holding it down, Shiner, Texas, drinking a little Shiner Bock for me right now. No doubt, I'm sure. We got my man KEEF SIXSTRING, Unchain My Heart. And then we also have Gordon CHAPMAN FOX with Watercolor Sketches. Now, just a little disclaimer for Gordon. I was given a bunch of stuff. It said Viejos Hombres de Abejon, and then it said The Library of Noise, and then there was an 01 Watercolor Sketches, so it sounds like this is from a record, and that was the only name on there. So Gordon, yeah, I'm sure you know it's your tune, man. All right, Watercolor Sketches, and if it is in fact called Viejos Hombres de Abejon or The Library of Noise, I do apologize for that. But anyway, if you guys are new to Mix Critique Monday, I would like to say welcome. Mix Critique Monday is a platform for you to get a free mix critique. It's a place for you to get another set of ears on your mix. Everything here is said with all constructive criticism. It is all positive. There is nothing said in a negative or a disparaging manner. My goal is to help you get the best sounding mixes possible. So if I hear some stuff, that's going on, I'm going to mention it. I'm going to talk about it. I definitely understand what it's like to be sort of entrenched in a project, be it, recording or pre-pro recording, mixing, mastering, the whole nine yards, or if you're just mixing a song. I know how it can be when you're just entrenched in that whole thing. Sometimes it's hard to see the forest when you're in amongst the trees. So if I can give you a little bit of perspective, I hope that helps you out in some way. And if you guys have any comments or questions on anything that I'm saying, don't hesitate to leave some comments below or shoot me an email. I am always available. I am here for you. If you would like a free mix critique, all you have to do is email me. Please send me a downloadable WAV file of your mix. An MP3 is okay too. Please include your name, the name of the song, and the name of the artist if it's different from yours, and it is first come, first serve. It's easy as that. You send it to me, I pop it on the list, and I just kind of go sequentially. And so here we are today, March 27th, and we're going to start this one off with my man Billy Deskin. He gave us a mix of the song Stay New by Little Empire. So we're just going to drag this out a little bit, and we're going to go from the top. All right, here we go.
Your touch is on my mind, but I've already written you so many rhymes. You're all that I could find, but I've already missed you so many times. You must be from another world. Your whisper makes my stomach curl. Chills each time you say my name. Pain each night you come home late. I need you to stay new. The rest is getting old. Now that the gold that's shone around me only radiates through you. I need you to stay new. It radiates through you. Stay new, stay new. Every building dropped to dust.
All right, Billy, really, really good sounding mix overall. Very solid. I know this is one of Warren's tunes. Warren Hewart is actually going to be coming on to do an interview on the blog, on the channel this week, so stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about all things music, basically. Recording, mixing, songwriting, working with awesome artists, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I know this is a session where the tracks are recorded very well, and that is really the main or the most important element to getting a good mix, right? It's always kind of you get out what you put in, so whatever is recorded will usually be represented well during the mixing process, but that being said, you still have to mix it. So really good job so far. I think it sounds really, really good. My only complaint thus far is that I feel like I'm hearing a lot of it's bass heavy. I'm hearing a lot of low end, predominantly from the bass. The kick isn't so bad, but I'm just hearing a lot of stuff around. I would, sounds like a lot of 60, 70, 80, something like that. So I'm going to just take a look at the we'll take a look at some of the spectrum analyzers here, and then what I'm going to do is I'll just flip on an EQ. Maybe we'll filter out a little bit of the bottom, see if we can clean that up a little bit and tighten it. For me, when bass gets too loud in a mix, or it gets too quiet, especially when it's too quiet, I find I see a lot of people that want to just to get it louder, they might want to do things like add more compression or add more EQ, when really all bass needs is just to take the volume fader and just to go whoop and just move it up a little bit. And it's the same thing when the bass is too loud. Just turning it down will often help. When the bass gets too boomy, doing things like high pass, using a high pass filter on the bass will definitely tame a lot of that low end. So I'm trying to do this flipped around here. So if here's your high pass filter, just sort of getting rid of those sub lows will tighten up the bottom. So let's keep listening, and then I'll pull up in the EQ. I'll see if doing a little bit of high passing will tighten it up.
Every car turned into rust, all the money burned up. I need you to stay new. I need you to stay new, stay new, stay new. I need you to stay new. The rest is getting old. Now that the
Yeah, so I'm seeing where it looks like we're getting a lot of the bass is between 70 and 90. Very common. That's usually where a lot of the bass fundamental lives. It sounds to me like it really is just a little bit too loud, just like the fader's pushed up a little bit. The bass tone is really nice. I like the way it sounds. It's got a little bit of growl to it. I can hear it. It's coming through. Everything else sounds great. The drums are cool. The guitars, the vocals, so far really, really cool. Let's just like I said, let's just see if we can't tighten this up just a little bit.
gold that shone around me only radiates through you. I need you to stay new. It radiates through you. Stay new, stay new. I need you to stay new. The rest is getting old. Now that the gold that shone around me only radiates through you. I need you to stay new. It radiates through you. Stay new, stay new. Let's never change. We're at our best.
I like the kick. It sounds cool. I sounds like it's a kick sample to me, but it's a great sounding kick sample. Check it out. So if we go back a little bit, I am thinking that this is it's just definitely just a volume issue, because I'm rolling off up to 70 hertz, which if it was a lot of low end flub and mud, it would be sounding really thin right now, but it's not. Check it out. So that's with the filter in. This is with the filter out. I'd like to hear less kick here. I feel like the kick is driving the song for sure. It's important. You know, you got that 4 on the floor thing really chugging, but when it breaks down and you get, you know, it's a lot of vocal and a little bit of that pad and that kick, you know, I would just automate that down for this part. think this was in Mix Critique Monday last week. I think somebody submitted this mix. And I had a similar comment for the end here. I would love to hear that fade out a lot quicker. Just that synth being held there. To me, it just sounds out of place when it's just sort of droning at the end. But that's totally a creative decision. And if you like that, then leave it by all means. So I think you did a great job with the guitars. I liked the way the guitar sounded. I thought great job sort of putting the strings in a nice place. The mix last week, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, had the strings a little loud, if I remember correctly, and they were kind of bright, so they were taking away from, sort of distracting from the vocal, kind of coming up the middle, which is the most important part of that song. But I thought you did a really nice job, Billy, with the way you kind of had that under control. My main issue with this mix is just two things. The low end, right? So the bass and the kick in some parts were loud. The bass the whole way through was too loud. But the kick in that breakdown, I think you can pull that, automate the volume down a little bit there. The bass sounds good though, tonally. So it's a really easy fix. It's simply a matter of pulling it down, to a point where, it's sitting in a good spot. And one of the best ways to check your low end against, other great mixes or just sort of how it'll translate to other listening environments is to use reference mixes. So I'm guessing there is a mix of this song off the Little Empire record. So you can always drag that in and sort of listen to how much low end is going on throughout the course of the tune. And, for me, that's just reference mixes are where it's at. The only other thing that I heard here, Billy, that was going on was that I thought the vocals sounded a little thin. I would love to hear a little bit more body in them, just to kind of give it some oomph. Is oomph a word? I don't know, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I just want to hear a little bit more meat out of the vocals. Female vocals are tough. They're inherently one of the hardest things to mix, in my opinion, to get right, because they're everyone sings in a different register, and it's just tough. So I think you could add a little bit of weight to the vocals by doing something like adding some parallel compression to them, and by using a darker sounding compressor or a fatter sounding compressor. Something like something I would reach for off the top of my head would be something like like the UAD Fatso Senior or a Fairchild or something like that, where you're going to get a little bit of that spongy weight. But yeah, really, 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 really good mix, Billy. Super proud of you, man. That was a big step up from the prior mix that I know you had submitted there. I think it was called Tiny Dancers? No, Tiny. I'm thinking of the Elton John tune, Tiny Angels Fly Away. I think that was one of your tunes, and that was good too. But definitely stepped it up here big time. Proud of you, man. Really, really good job. Next up, we have Unchain My Heart from KEEF Sixstring. KEEF. So we'll get into this one. We got actually two pretty long songs coming up here. This one is over 5 minutes. The next one's about 8 minutes long, almost 7.5. So enough of me yapping. Let's listen. Here is KEEF Sixstrings, Unchain My Heart. Oh.
Unchain my heart.
Love the B3. Yeah.
Baby, let me be. You don't care. Oh, please set me free. Unchain my heart, baby, let me go. Unchain my heart.
Before we get going here and the tune starts rocking out, let's just kind of address this intro here. Something I was hearing was an issue with the vocals.
Unchain my heart.
I feel like the vocals just sound a little bit on the muffled, muddy side. Something that I would look to do with that would be to go to the vocal, do a little bit of subtractive EQ. It can really range from anywhere to, it could be between 150 and 300. It could be around 400, 500. Really depends. It just sounds a little bit, it's not necessarily muddy or boxy. They just sound a little bit muffled and drowned out to me. They're sitting a little low, especially in that part when everything's quiet. I would love to hear the vocals just a little bit louder and a bit clearer, because you got some other cool things going on, like a very cool B3, some piano, things like that. So let's take it to the top here where the band comes in.
Unchain my heart, baby, let me go. Unchain my heart, 'cause you don't love me no more. Every time I call you on the phone, some fella tells me that you're not at home. Unchain my heart, set me free. Set me free. Unchain my heart. Unchain my heart. Baby, let me be.
What a great tune. I love the kind of, a little bit of that soul rock and roll feel going on here. Really cool song, Keef. Keep wanting to say Keith, but it's Keef, so I gotta say Keef. Man, I love the Stones too, so I'm sure you're a slightly a Stones fan. Keith, really cool song so far. A couple things that are jumping out to me. Number one is your vocal, the lead vocals, a little too loud for me when the band comes in. It's kind of drowning out the rest of the great instrumentation. You've got so much cool stuff happening in here: guitars, pianos, organs. And then some horns going on, and then the background vocals came in, and they were just super loud. They were kind of blasting me a little bit. So I would definitely turn those down. Ride that automation fader. Whenever I the second half of my mixing process is automating. So it's like after I get everything sitting and sounding how I want it to sound, right? So I kind of call it seasoning. So I'm doing EQ, compression, adding effects to things, just getting the instruments, all the tracks to sort of sit and meld together and have their own place. Then the second half for me is largely compositional, where it's kind of like doing automation passes and writing things to make sure that everything is going to be heard or sort of tucked underneath at the right time. Especially with the lead vocal, right? Some people don't like using automation, and that's fine. But if there's one thing I would urge you to automate, it's the lead vocal, because that's the most important thing in a song where there's vocals. And what you get by automating and by just constantly keeping that fader moving is you can make certain words louder, you can make certain phrases louder, and you can also sort of just kind of tame volume. Sometimes something might jump out and you might not want it to jump out, and the compressor doesn't catch it. So automating is huge. But the good part is that, they're easy fixes. Moving a fader is way easier than going in and having something sound completely jacked up with the wrong EQ and the wrong compression. So I would bring those vocals down for sure. Let's keep going here.
Unchain my heart, 'cause you don't care about me. You got me sewn up like a pillowcase, but you let my...
I would love to hear the horns and the guitars out wide, panned out. They're coming up the middle for me, and it makes them harder to hear because they're battling with the other stuff that's coming up the middle, like the lead vocal, like the kick, like the bass. Those things are all vying for like this much area where you have this much area. So I would use those pan knobs that you have on your channels, get some stuff kind of, park the whatever guitars out here, put some other guitars out here, maybe pan the horns, put them through a stereo bus and have them going out, out stereo. I think that would clear up a whole lot of the front section, the middle section going on here, where the vocals are, where the kick drum is, where the bass guitar is, etc. So
my love go to waste. Unchain my heart, set me free. I'm under your spell, like a man in a trance. But you know darn well I don't stand a chance. Unchain my heart, let me go my way. Unchain my heart, you worry me night and day. Why lead me through this life of misery when you don't care a bag of beans for me? Unchain my heart, set me free. Yeah, set me free. You know I'm under your spell.
Killer guitar solo, man. Loved it. I love how it's up the middle. I think that's great. Personally, for me, I think the most important aspects of a song should be up the middle, because that's where we're going to hear a lot of. I'm trying to think of the word that I want to use here. The importance of an instrument takes precedence over others, right? So when it's a vocal, I like to hear the majority of the vocal coming up right through the mids. And when there's a guitar solo and the vocal drops out, then the next most important instrument becomes that guitar for the solo, because it's playing the lead part. So I think it's great how you had it coming at the middle. I thought it sounded good. The tone was great. It was a great playing all around. Really good job. A couple other things that I'm hearing, the drums to me sound a little bit overall thin. I would love to hear, they almost sound a little unnatural, as if, you know, maybe you're using some kind of drum software, a loop, something like that. They just sound a little thin to me, a little unauthentic. I would like to hear them maybe warmed up a little bit, maybe made to sound a little bit fatter. They're just a little thin. Like I'm struggling to hear the kick because the bass is really sounding big and powerful, which is great. But I would love to hear a little bit more of a natural drum tone overall. So, you know, but listen, overall, very fun, very cool song. And overall, it's, you know, a good mix. So let's keep listening here.
Just like a man in a trance. But you know darn well I don't stand a chance. Unchain my heart, let me go my way. Unchain my heart, you worry me night and day. Why lead this foolish life of misery
Yeah, rock on. Keef Sixstring, Unchain My Heart. Really, really solid job, Keith. Love the song. Super cool. Definitely love that little, that love child of soul and rock and roll. Very cool. Really great playing. Monster guitar solos. Love the sax solo. That was so cool. Probably the first saxophone solo I've had on a Mixed Critique Monday tune. So very, very cool. I love horns and songs. I love Stax and Motown. Just good stuff. That being said, just a couple things that would make such a big difference here would be to bring your vocal level down and to get stuff panned out, because there's this buildup going on coming through the middle, and it would behoove you to kind of give everything its own space, right? The guitars, some of the horns that were kind of coming up the middle, just by, and you don't have to go, super far one way or the other. Just sort of give enough space to, hit the mic, to give it enough space coming up the middle, right? The things that I think are sort of imperative to come up the middle: kick, bass, snare, vocals. I mean, everything else is sort of optional. But I do like how you kept the guitar solo and the sax solo coming straight up the middle. So really good job with that. I would say definitely bring your vocal down a little bit. And I feel like there's just a couple nasally frequencies in there that you could sort of get rid of. So I would go kind of looking for those around your 400, 500, 600 hertz area. That's going to open up your vocal more, and it's going to make it sound even sweeter. Add some weight and some size to the drums if you can. I know those are sort of vague words, but they just sounded a little thin to me. I was having a tough time hearing the kick. The snare sounded good, and the tom sounded a little thin and plinky. So, if you could add some sort of, if you're EQing those and you're boosting certain frequencies that are making them sound thinner and you're cutting others, I would say go in and do a little bit of, pay attention to it that way. But if that's just the way that they sound, then there's certain things you can do to make them sound a little bit warmer. Maybe run them through some tape plugins or something like that. Add some parallel compression, sort of how I was talking about in the other song, where if you pick a darker sounding compressor or a spongier sounding compressor, things like, I find Varimu compressors, that's why I mentioned the Fairchild, they will sort of give you that, almost that gooey type of compression, which can be a good thing. In some places you don't want gooey compression, other places you do. So anyway, very cool job. I appreciate that. Unchain My Heart, Keef Sixstring. Really good job, man. Stoked being a guitar player. That was a super fun guitar solo. Really enjoyed that. Next up, Watercolor Sketches. And as I said before, I think it's called Watercolor Sketches. We will find out, I'm sure. Anyway, this is mixed by Gordon Chapman Fox, and if this isn't called a Watercolor Sketches, it might be called Viejos Hombres de Abejon, and it might be called The Library of Noise, or the band might be The Library of Noise. I'm pretty lost on it, as you can tell. So anyway, Gordon Chapman Fox, let's get into it. Here we go. Cool, really digging the drum tone so far. Nice big, powerful, punchy toms. I'm not the biggest synthesizer. Now let me rephrase that. I'm not the most knowledgeable guy in terms of synth stuff. So I don't know if that's like a monophonic synth. I think it's like a monophonic synth because that means you have one synth sound. Sort of like a synth-based thing going on there. Very cool. Yeah, we're kind of like sounds like it might be an instrumental tune. Let's keep going. Okay, so one thing that I'm hearing, or not hearing, that I would love to hear a little bit more of is I would love to hear some more almost sub-lows. When you have synthesizers in tracks, you totally, we all have the ability to sort of hear a lot of those, a lot of that 30 or 40. And then when I take a look at the EQ spectrum here, check it out. So we got a bit of a slope going on where I feel like might have done some high passing on the mix bus there. I would love to hear some of, what are we at here, about 30. I feel like it would just add a lot more bottom into it. Don't get me wrong, that's just a personal thing. That's just something I would like to hear. Everything sounds good, and I can hear all of the different synths and the drums and all the different effects that are coming in are kind of in their own spot, and they're all audible. Nothing's too loud. Nothing's poking out, distracting me from the entire performance of the song here. So really fun so far. Something that I like to do when I want to hear some more low end, let me just turn this off. I like to reach for a Pultec in EQP1A, and I will do the good old Pultec trick. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, or don't know what the Pultec trick is, or aren't familiar with Pultecs, is you can boost and attenuate the low end frequencies at the same time. So you can boost 20, 30, 60, or 100, and you can also attenuate it simultaneously. Let me open the EQP1A. And what that's going to do is it will kind of create this really cool low-end bump. I know it doesn't make sense. So see, we have boost here, and then we have attenuate. Attenuate is the same thing as cut. We can go 20, 30, 60, or 100, right? Here's our bandwidth or our Q. So I always like to do a pretty wide one, around 7 or 8, something like that. And then what's cool is we can boost, if I want to hear more 30, I can boost 30, but I can also attenuate it, which is going to create this really cool bump. And I know it might be hard to envision, so the way I would explain it is like, let's say we were doing a little bit of high passing to around something like 30. And then I came in and I was like, you know what? I want to boost some 30. So if I find 30, we'll go right about there. So as you can see what it does, we'll make this a little bit steeper. So really what we're doing by boosting and attenuating on a Pultec at the same time is we're giving it this really cool bump right around the frequency that we boost and attenuate, okay? If that makes sense. So this is kind of all happening around the 30 area. This could even happen a little bit farther back. So like if we push this back, it really just depends, because on old analog EQs and gear, you know, part of the mystique in them is the is the curves, right? We don't really know what they look like. So I know there's plugins that could sort of see those things. I think Waves makes one where you can visually see what your analog outboard EQs are doing. But anyway, that's basically what a Pultec sort of does. And if it's around 30, it'll do it there. If it's 20, it'll go lower. If it's around 100, it'll do it higher. And we can also do it to the top end, but we can only attenuate 5K, 10K, and 20K. So we would have to physically pick 5 or 10K to be able to boost and attenuate at the same time on the top. And it sounds great to put it on your mix bus. If you really want to bring out the bass, guitar, and the kick drum in your mix, slap a Pultec EQP1A on your mix bus. Take 20 hertz. I find 20 hertz really does the trick, and I'll take 20 hertz and I'll boost 4 dB, and then I'll attenuate like 3.5, and it just makes the bottom end sound really big and tight, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't let it get away from you. Anyway, what I want to try here is doing a little bit of this. So we'll start with 20. We'll just boost maybe 4, and we'll cut 2. See how this sounds. Not really hearing it do anything with 20, which means there's probably no 20 there in the mix. So let's go to 30. Yeah, I hope you guys can really hear what I'm hearing. Listen for the synth bass. Just really listen for that low end fundamental here. I'll start with it off and then I'll flick it in. So in is when this is up, okay? That's kind of what I'm wanting to hear a little bit more of on the low end. So 60 seemed to be sounding good. Let's try 100 just for fun. I think 100 might be a little bit too high, and I might be boosting it a little too much, but 60 seems to be nice, and you know, just giving it a little bit of bump. I wasn't hearing anything at 20 because I just don't think there's anything at 20. Anyway, the Pultec trick is always a nice option to do to give yourself some very cool sounding low end, or to tame some high end, sort of with that 5, 10, and 20K thing. All right, let's keep going. can't tell if here there's actual distortion in the synth or if this is clipping. Yeah, right on. Very cool track. So that was kind of a unique original one. Kind of like a industrial synthy instrumental. Very cool. A lot of synthesizers going on, some big sounding drums, some big toms. Overall, really, really solid job. I mean, there was nothing that was giving me, any problems except for just really wanting some more good low end, some more low end that you can sort of feel and that you could sort of, hear in a pleasant way. You know, I'm not talking about that woofy, fluffy thing, but but some stuff around that 30, 40, 50 area that I feel like might have just gotten cut out somewhere. Would be really great to have some of that back, especially kind of feeling like with this type of music, you kind of almost want to feel it as well as hearing it. So, but I think really good job with all the synths. Everything kind of sat in its own place. Was definitely EQ'd or paired in a way where nothing was stepping on each other's toes, or at least stuff that I wasn't really hearing. The only other thing that I would have loved to hear more of was with the toms. I like how they have a lot of pronounced attack in them, and they do have a very noticeable pointiness to them, right? Kind of almost that, like on a kick drum, the kick in mic where you're hearing a lot of the beater head. I was hearing a lot of attack on the toms. Would just love to hear a little bit of the a little bit more low end, just a little bit more of the thump, a little bit more sustain on them. I thought that would be really cool. And you could get toms to sustain very, very sweetly by using certain optical compressors. I like sometimes on my toms bus, sometimes I'll take something like the Acme Opticom, the XLA3, I think that's the name of it. It's the Acme Opticom from Plug-in Alliance, and it's an amazing optical compressor. You can set the attack and release times. You can go for slow, medium, and fast. But what it does is it just adds this incredible sustain to the toms, which is really nice. And, in certain situations, that's appropriate for it. So, but all in all, really solid job. Thank you so much for that, Gordon Chapman Fox. That was Watercolor Sketches. And if it wasn't Watercolor Sketches, it was Viejos Hombres de Abejon, or the Library of Noise. Anyway, thank you for that. Really appreciate it. All in all, 3 really cool mixes this week. Love the variety. We had Stay New by the band Little Empire, mixed by Billy Deskin. Billy, really, really solid mix, man. Big step up from your last one. Really good job. Definitely keep up the good work. We had Unchain My Heart, very cool rock tune from KEEF Sixstring. And last one we just heard was Watercolor Sketches, Gordon Chapman Fox. So love the variety. Guys, keep the great mixes coming. Always impress me every week. I don't listen to these ahead of time. When I put them in the session, is the first time I hear them. I want to sort of react to them naturally as I hear it. I don't want to sort of have any preconceived notions when I come in and I do this. Everything you're hearing is off the cuff. and I enjoy it. So again, if you would like a free mix critique and you want to be on Mix Critique Monday, all you have to do is email me, pete@mixbetternow.com. All of my contact info is in the description box below, or you can head over to mixbetternow.com and you could hit me up from there. But yeah, all you gotta do is email me a downloadable WAV file of your mix, preferably a WAV file. If not, MP3s are okay too. Please include your name, the name of the mix /song, and then the name of the artist if it is different from yours. And it's first come, first serve. So when I get them, I put them in line, and then I kind of drag them in here, and we have them for each show. So that is it for me. My name is Pete with MixBetterNow.com. If you guys enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, head over to the website, go over to MixBetterNow.com, sign up on the email list. I will send you my free audio swag bag, which is full of all kinds of goodies like free multi-track sessions, free plugins, free mix templates, free drum samples, all kinds of good stuff. Check that out. I believe there's actually a link in the description box as well, which will take you right over there where you can sign up. So as usual, as always, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I will catch you next time.